All right, Chapter 2, Lesson 1. We're going to learn how minerals make up rocks, how fossils form, how fossil fuels form, and how minerals are used for making objects. It's your turn to help make dinner. You take out some pots and pans, you put dishes and glasses on the table. Do you realize that you're using materials that came from the earth? In the last chapter, you read that rocks are underneath landforms. There are many different kinds of rocks. Some kinds of rocks are used for building. Large blocks of rocks for building are dug out of the earth. A quarry, like the one shown, is a place where rocks are dug from the earth. All rocks are made of substances called minerals. A mineral forms in the earth from non-living matter. Different kinds of rocks are made of different combinations of minerals. This is so cool. Blocks of stone are being cut from the earth, or dug from the earth. These blocks will be used for making buildings. Look at those trucks and how big and deep these chunks of rock are being cut. And then up in our glossary, a mineral, a material that forms in the earth from non-living matter. All right, let's look at this page over here. I know you can't see the top. I'm sorry. I'll try to do better each video in getting it in there, but there are over 4,000 different minerals. Each mineral has special properties. Some minerals are shiny and some are dull. Some minerals are hard and some are soft. Each has a color. A rock can be made out of one or more minerals. You might see several colors in a rock. Each color is a different mineral. What are the properties of the rose quartz shown below? See this beautiful one down here? What are the properties of this mineral, rose quartz? What are some words you could use to describe that beautiful mineral? Rocks form in 3 ways. Look at the picture of granite. It starts out as melted material deep within the earth. The material moves towards the earth's surface and cools. This material turns into rock even while it's still below the earth's surface. Rocks such as sandstone form in another way. Notice its layers. Very cool looking. These rocks form from layers of sand, bits of rock, soils, and sometimes shells. Over many, many years, the layers all become cemented together. A third kind of rock forms as a result of changes in the other 2 types. Very high heat and great pressure from inside the earth can change rocks. After a long, long time, these sort of rocks are formed. So you have to have pressure, heat, and time. So this word is pronounced gneiss. That's the name of this rock. And it's formed in this way. So it's a combination of the other kinds of rocks. So we're going to turn the page, so I have to move this. Okay, so page C36, there we go, fossils. So fossil is the hardened parts or mark left by an organism that lived a long time ago. As some rocks form, parts of organisms may remain in the material that forms the rock. You might sometimes find a rock that has a mark or a part of an organism that died a long time ago. Notice such a rock below. It has a fossil of an ammonite in it. So down here, isn't that so awesome? That ammonite in that rock, that's a fossil. A fossil is a hard material with traces of an organism that lived a long time ago. A fossil might be a whole organism or a part of one. Oops, I didn't put this back all the way. Oh yeah, I did. Did I? That has turned into rock. Sometimes parts of dead organisms decay in mud or sand. Over many years, the mud turns to rock. Then just a mark remains where the organism was pressed into the rock. The mark has the same shape as the organism. Animals and plants that lived many years ago left many fossils in rocks. Scientists study these fossils to learn what living things look like so long ago. The fossil above, over here, gives clues about certain birds that became extinct a long time ago. So up here, it says this fossil is called Archaeopteryx. It was found in Germany in 1861. It lived about 150 million years ago, according to this book. Some people would say that the Earth isn't that old, so just keep that in mind. Most scientists think that it was a type of a bird. Fuels. Some rocks have materials that we use as fuels. A fuel is a material that can be burned to produce useful heat. We use fuels to warm our homes and to cook. Power plants, like the one shown, burn fuel to make electricity. So that's a power plant, and they burn fuel to make electricity. Some fuels are called fossil fuels. They usually do not have actual fossils that we can see. Fossil fuels got their name because they formed from organisms that lived hundreds of millions of years ago. Coal and oil are fossil fuels. Most coal formed from plants that grew in swampy areas. The plants died and fell to the bottom of the swamp. Over many years, many layers of plant material formed. The swamps dried up and the layers of plant material were pressed into rock, like the piece of coal shown at the right. Many scientists think that oil formed from microscopic organisms that lived in the ocean. Their remains piled up on the ocean floor. Sand and other materials covered their remains. Over many years, the layers of remains went through a chemical change and became oil. Parts of the ocean dried up, but oil stayed buried in rocks underground. Pumps like the one shown are used to get the oil. So this picture says, at an oil well, a pump brings the liquid fuel up from underground. And this one says, coal is a fuel that formed mostly from plant material. Coal is dug from the earth at coal mines. And we already talked about this one. Let's see if I can move the page without moving that little plastic cover. Oh, there we go. That was better. So, making things from minerals is the title of the top of page C38. Rocks and the minerals they contain are natural resources. A natural resource is a material that comes from the earth and can be used by living things. You learn that some rocks are used in buildings. Other rocks can be used as fuel. The minerals that make up some rocks can be used to make many simple everyday materials. Glass and metals are made from minerals. Follow the steps in making glass objects from sand. So the first thing over here, number 1, materials for making the glass. A large amount of sand is mixed with smaller amounts of lime and soda. Bits of recycled glass might also be added. Number 2, heating the mixture. The sand and the other material are fed into a furnace. The furnace is very hot, about 1400 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, the materials melt into a liquid. Number 3, making bottles. A lump of melted glass is dropped into a mold. Air is blown into the glass. The glass takes the shape of the mold and is hollowed out. The bottle comes out of the mold and is left to cool and become hard. Up here at the top of the page, C39, it says some rocks called ores have large amounts of useful minerals. People have learned how to separate these minerals from the ores. Iron, copper, and aluminum are some metals that come from ores. Steel is a very important metal that is used to make iron ore. Steel is used for making nails, cars, and almost every machine you might think of. The pictures show some steps in making steel, so we'll go over that in a minute. So ore, the rock that has large amounts of useful minerals. So the first step, number 1, ore from the mine. Iron ore is dug from huge open pit mines. Power shovels scoop out the ore. Number 2, materials for making steel. Steel is made from iron ore such as this. The ore is combined with limestone and a form of coal. And then the third step, in the furnace. The materials are put into a very hot furnace. As they burn, a chemical change happens. Iron is separated from the ore. Melted iron collects at the bottom of the furnace. It is poured out and moved to another furnace to be made into steel. So let's look at lesson 1 review, the questions. So number 1, you're going to write your answers on a piece of paper. What are rocks made of? Number 2, how do fossils form in rocks? Number 3, why are some fuels called fossil fuels? Number 4, What are some materials that are made from natural resources? Sequencing, number 5. Place the following sentences in the correct sequence, in the correct order. A, plant material is changed into coal. B, swamp dries up. C, dead plants fall to the bottom of the swamp. D, layers of plant material become pressed together. So you're going to put these in the order that the book told us about on how coal is made. And you're going to find that. If you can't remember, you're going to have to go back and look, okay? Probably in this area. Alrighty.